My progress has been swift, thanks to the chocobo, flying from one aura node to another quickly and without dangerous land travel. I am so glad that I took the time all them weeks ago to breed the gold chocobo. They are each making a big difference to how quickly I progress. Learning to be a wizard can take an apprentice months of study and much walking to recharge wands. I am still a stage away from being able to capture and move aura nodes, but it will not be long now. Today I created an infusion altar. Soon those aura nodes will be in easy reach and I can do other things. Now then, welcome back to another episode of A Druid's Tale. Or in this case, A Wizard's Tale, because we seem to be doing a lot of Thorncraft right now. There is a few more things that we need to get done before we can move on to other things. A few more things that I want to get done fairly swiftly. So, moving on from last episode, we did a lot with these alchemical furnaces. And the alchemical side of things has now been sort of arranged and sorted out in the base here. We sorted out the basic alchemy a couple of episodes ago. And I set up this little area over here with all the bits and components and stuff that I use in basic alchemy. Now I've upgraded to the advanced alchemy, where I can smelt things down into their component parts and put those things into warded jars. And that's a nice little system, which I'll show you all about this in a minute. And we left the episode after working this out, which is an alchemical construct. And this allows us to set things and create things. So, for instance, let's take an air shard. Let's put an air shard in here. And it will tell us what we need in the cauldron to make a balance shard, for instance. Okay, so then it will wait for each of these things. So, over on the basic alchemy, we would throw in items that were equivalent value to each of these, and then throw in the air shard and get the balance shard back out. In this, it's only going to take from jars these items from a local area. I think it can read from a cauldron as well, but it's a bit messy throwing stuff in a cauldron for it to work. So we've got that, and that then allows me to do things like take this off here, take this and put that down there. And it should take the aqua that it needs. It takes 2 aqua, so it'll take 2 aqua out of the jar. It's a little bit of a faff going in and out of this to get everything I need and putting the jars on. But that is a good way of keeping it simplified. It's probably taken the 2. Yep, it takes it really quickly. And yeah, I think you can do them out of order as well. So let's just test that out. We can do them out of order here. No, we can't do them out of order. Okay, my mistake. Can put them in order. Okay, and ordo's the next one, proving that we need order. There we go. And it's chaos. We use a bit of chaos. There we go. And put that down. Now, you can connect all of these things to the machine, as it were, before you start the process. So it'll just take everything out as you need it and process them in greater quantities in a quicker method. But there you go. There's the balance shard came out as soon as it was done. There we go. And now those are ready to be topped up. So the balance shard I'll throw in with my other shards in there, just because we'll need some of those later. But that's as simple as it gets for making those sort of things automated instead of doing it in there and having all the goop coming out all over the place. Even though I've sorted out the goop not coming out because of the shelves and the carpets and stuff like that. But still, there we go. And so to create this in the first place, to make all this work, I've used these valve things. And these valves are very important in stopping the flow of this essentia going into the wrong places. Okay? So let's put something in. Let's take let's do some charcoal. Okay. So I'm going to put a charcoal in there. And a charcoal is potentia and ignis. So I'll put charcoal in there. It will smelt it down into potentia and ignis. It will have the potentia and ignis will come out into these here soon enough. Thank you. Where are you? Oh, I haven't got my goggles on. Hang on. There we go. So I've got the ignis in there and the potentia in there, right? and throw the rest back. Now it'll sit in there until it's got a set route to go. Now they call it some sort of suction. There's a suction that requires that pulls in. So these jars have a suction value, and I think this tool, this Essential Resonator, shows us suction value. So at the minute, this suction's got 0 untyped. Right. As soon as I switch that over, it's now pulling. The jar is now pulling, and it's got a suction of 32 at the jar end. 36. No, 32, 36, 63. At the jar end, 62, and then it'll be 61, 60, 59, and so on, down, and it is pulled out from there with the suction, right? As soon as I turn this off, we'll have a little psst, there we go, of little bits of that Ignis that were left in the pipes. Nothing that I've lost, though. Everything got into the jar first, the 2 that's got in the jar first, and then I'm left with this one in here. So I've turned that off, so now there's no suction again from anywhere in the pipes. So there's zero suction in any of the pipes again, right? So that shows that off. And then I've got to put this Potentia somewhere. And I think one of these is Potentia. This one. I think this is Potentia. Yeah, it is. Okay. So we'll get rid of the Void Jar and put a Potentia there. And that will then move into here once I've opened this suction. There we go, and that's moved up there. Close that off again. There we go. All right. Now, I'm also got a chest system here. I'm going to put all of my jars of bits and pieces in the chest instead of leaving them all around. But I thought that looked nice there, so I decided to put the first couple just on the wall there out the way. The way I want to work this is to take these away, for instance, put them in there, right? And let's say I get a recipe that needs 3 or 4 different types of things in here. Let's get rid of that. A recipe that takes 3 or 4 types of things here. I can get the jars of stuff ready so I can quickly transfer, put them down, put them back up there, put them there, transfer them around until I've got everything I want, and then I can take these off here and put them away again. Just so I'm not carrying them around me all the time. But the herber should be in there. And the void jar. A void jar basically voids off any excess. So, for instance, if I get the Terror, which is 62, and it goes up to a stack, which is 64, let's put something in there that's worth that. Let's give it some cobble. Yeah, let's get some cobble and put that into here. Now, the cobble is 1 apiece, right? So that's now going to put 3 Terror in there, but only 64 can go in here. So when I turn this, this should go up to 64, and I'll still have 1 Terror left in the system. So that 1 Terror that was left is now in the pipes, clogging the pipes up, right? And that 64 is full, so I can't get any more into there, so that suction doesn't work. But the pipes are now clogged with the Terror. So I won't be able to turn this Precantatio into there, and then that's also got stuck in the upper pipes, right? So now I need to void off what's left, so I'll turn this on, and it will go into there, you see? And that will, when it fills that up, it will void it off. These ones could also be on void instead, but it costs a blaze powder to make a void jar. So I've not done a void jar for these. I've got 1 void jar for the whole system, and you shift right click to empty it out, and then this should fill with the Peditio, and I shift right click to empty that out. Now the system's cleared again. I can close that valve, and everything's got no suction, and I'm ready for the next part of the crafting. It's pretty simple, but until you've seen it working and you played around with it yourself, it feels very complicated. Hopefully you understand it a little bit better from watching this, right? But that's the alchemy side of things done. We've got all of our alchemy stuff done there, and I can pretty much make anything I want with the alchemy side of things now, with little effort on my half, just putting some bits and pieces into jars. There's no real simple automation for it just yet, unless you have one thing that you want to make lots of, and then you can automate that one thing to just constantly produce, which I've done in previous series, so I'll do it again here if I need it for anything. But what we're after today, before we go on to this alchemical centrifuge, which I've not played with before, so I'm going to experiment. Before we go to that, there's a thing about the node tapping. We want to get some nodes in jars, okay? So I've now unlocked these things. We've got advanced node tapping, which means that I can take the stuff and recharge my wands faster, and the node preserver means that I can recharge my wands faster, but I always leave at least one in a node. And one in a node means that that node can then recharge itself over time. But the node in the jar is lots of glass around the node itself with some slabs on the top. Makes a big jar shape, and then you hit it with a wand for 70 of each of the primal aspects. And you then take the node frozen in the state of when it was tapped. So I have to let my nodes recharge fully first and let them be as big as they can be before I trap them in a jar, tap them with a wand with 70 of each in it, and then I can bring that jar home with me. And while it's kept, it's suspended, will not regenerate Viz or can have Viz drawn from it. It can't do anything when it's in a jar. But I put the jar back down and place it and click it with a wand, and the node comes back into place. And then I've got a node somewhere around here that I've moved over here. Now, the 70 apiece is going to be hard work with a 50 wand. I can't tap a jar with a 50 wand because I need 70 of each in a wand. And that is where the next wand upgrade comes in, which will be down here somewhere, which I haven't been able to unlock and haven't got to yet, which will be a silverwood wand. Now, I believe, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe that this infusion research is needed to unlock the silverwood wand, because you need to infuse a silverwood wand in the infusion process before you can make a silverwood wand. So therefore it would make sense that I don't unlock this technology, as it were, before I've unlocked this technology. So let's see if that works. There we go. So I've researched infusion. This allows me to research all of the different cool things that I can infuse, the tools that I can infuse. Also has given me Boots of the Traveller, which I can infuse based on fabric and that as well. But let's see if it's upgraded these. Yes, it has. So now all of these wand cores can be infused, and it's the silverwood wand core that I want. And the silverwood scepter and the magic staves has now opened up. But the silverwood wand core was the main thing I wanted to open up. The alchemy, no, have I got the... Yeah, I've got the thormium wand caps as well available to me, which I'll need to do a few bits of research points to get, but soon enough I'll be able to do that. So, a silverwood wand core. It requires that balance shard that I've already made, one of each of the other shards around a silverwood log, and a little bit of all this in arcane infusion to make the silverwood rod to make my wand core. And these wands can store 100 Viz of each type. Okay, so that's where we're heading. So be able to make that. I've got the silverwood and I've got the access to the Viz. I've got all the Viz here. I've got the balance shard. I've just made one of those. And I've got shards of every other type, so that's good. So we've got all the materials we need to make the silverwood wand core, but we don't have the infusion altar yet. The infusion altar is a brilliant, epic-looking device. Needs some arcane stone, some shards, some ender pearls, and 40 ordo, so we can make it with our great wood wand at the moment to make some runic matrix. There is the altar pedestals, which is more arcane stone blocks and some air. There's a lot of information here to read as well. And then we assemble it around like this to make it a thing. And it basically takes up a 3x3 area and 25 Viz of each type in a wand to activate it and make it whole in the first place. So I want to make one of these as well. The only sort of area that I've got though is this, and I've already erected this place in even, so I haven't really got a 3x3 area that I can use. So I'm thinking about setting it into this corner like here. So it's going to be off-center from the rest of the room, which is going to be awkward looking, isn't it? It's going to be very awkward looking. But making it fit, Making it fit. I could set it up a bit further over here into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could set it up over here and make this side slightly different. Or I could set it up maybe out here and have an extension to this room out on this side. Already this is looking very, very similar to the opposite side. So making another room here is a potential for making this whole structure, this whole area slightly larger. And I could set it up in this chunk here, which I think I want to do as a solution for this problem over here. This problem of having it unsymmetrical. So I can have my doorway going through to it around here somewhere and have a nice symmetrical room with the altar around it. That's what we're going to work on a bit later on. But first of all, I want to mess around with this. Everything that that infusion altar needs, I've got available to me. I've just got to do some crafting off camera. This is the leftovers almost, and another alchemical construct. Stuff that we've already shown making of for making this and making this. And I did have 2 of these at one point, making it all set up. So we've got enough in this one to make this alchemical centrifuge. And I've got to say that I've never used an alchemical centrifuge before, so this will be a first for me. And I'm not 100% sure how it works. Let's right-click on it, and it doesn't seem to do anything. Okay. So how does it work? Let's have another look at this and have a little read up about it. Oh, not that. It's the one thing in here that I haven't really looked at. The Essentia crystallization, I've also checked that out. I know that, so that's okay. But this is... The alchemical centrifuge is a wondrous invention that allows you to break Essentia into its component parts. Which means that when a compound Essentia, like this Potentia or Herba, is broken down, it will break down into these primal elements, which is a good thing for storage, I suppose. When a compound Essentia flows into the centrifuge from below, it will be slowly broken down into a primal or compound Essentia that is made from only one of the components, which is made... Yeah. It will be broken down into the primal or compound Essentia that it is made from. Only one of the components is created for each point of Essentia broken down. The resulting Essentia needs to be drawn from the top of the centrifuge because of the idiosyncrasies of the tube pressure system. It would be best to connect an Essentia buffer to the top of the centrifuge. See next page. The Essentia buffer allows you to store an unlimited amount of Essentia, 8 points, a limited amount, 8 points, though it can be made up of any combination of Essentia. Like a jar, it has a suction, though it applies a minimum amount of suction possible. This means that it's usually able to draw Essentia from an Essentia source it is directly attached to. However, tubes can be connected to all of its sides, meaning it is valuable for getting Essentia out of a device like the centrifuges that could contain variable types of Essentia. Blah, 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 blah. Bit about bellows, which we'll look at some later date. Additionally, we can toggle individual connections on and off with a normal tube, but if you shift-click connection, you will choke the suction back to one blue band and a red. This allows for some interesting possibilities when routing Essentia. And that looks fairly simple to craft, so I should probably make one of those. Essentia valve, 3 tubes, and some glass vials. So it's recommended that this is used with that. So we'll get 4 tubes. We'll get 1 of these. And put the rest back. And we'll quickly make one of those levers to see what that looks like. That and 1 of those. There we go. That goes in the top corner, and these go in the other corners. No, that's wrong already. I'm already reading the crafting recipe wrong. That, yeah, it's top, and then those. Okay, so that goes in the top. Those go around the outside, and then we put some glass vials in. Glass vials are simple enough, I think. Let me check. I think it was something like this. No, that's bottles. Okay. Glass vials then. How do I make glass vials now? That. It's got clay on the top. Aha, see. That's why I had the clay here as well. I don't generally use these very often. These little vials. They're useful for taking Essentia out of one place and putting them into another. It's kind of useful. And did I need... Oh, I can't remember if I needed to actually put some... No, I didn't. There we go. We get 8 per recipe as well, which is quite nice. And this stuff also, you can take things out of jars. So I can take some of that out. And now I've got 8 Ignis inside there, which I can put back in or take out and put somewhere else and all that kind of stuff. So I can move it around slightly. So I can move my Essentia around with these vials. And when I use little golems later, I can make the golems use these glass vials to do things for me as well. But for right now, it's just a crafting component in this. And Chabang. Why is that not working as a recipe? What have I done wrong? It's Arcane Workbench, Essentia Valve, Restricted Essentia Tube. Okay, that just needs some stone in it. Okay, so that one needs some stone in it. Let's take all of this back out. Get a piece of stone. Have I got some stone to hand? No, but I've got cobblestone. Dang it. Okay, have I got a furnace somewhere? Or am I going to need to go all the way down to cook something up? I have a furnace in here. Yes. Okay. Awesome. These little benches are so useful for having so many different things in. I should probably put one over at the Thorncraft side, just because it's super simple to place one in the wall and have like crafting tables and furnaces and everything you need all in one place. Okay, so one of these needs to be this kind. There we go. And that was supposed to go at the bottom. Those at the sides. That there. And these 4 around it. Yes, and now I've got insufficient viz. I've run out of water or aqua. There we go. Recharging ones again. Not this episode though. I'm not going recharging the ones this episode. I'll leave it like that for now. So this Essentia buffer is supposed to go on top of it. That's cool. And you can have pipes coming out of it in various different ways. Awesome. Okay, so let's take some pipes. And let's just have a little dig round here. Diggy underneath it, just so I can see how it works, so I can see where I need to place it in the actual world. And I wonder if I can put it directly on. So let's take one of these compound aspects. Let's take this potentia, because we've got 41 potentia and it's easy to replace. And let's place it right underneath it. Oh yeah, it does. Right underneath it makes it work. So now it'll break it down into its component stuff. And the components of Potentia are Ignis and Ordo. Pretty awesome. It's got a nice little sound effect as well, isn't it? Pretty cool. Okay. It works very nicely. Very nicely indeed. Now it's full. It's got 8 in the buffer. So it's full up now. And it's got 1 still in there. Okay. So now I can attach some of these guys to it. And get this and this, and I can use this to fill it up as well. So now it's taking all that out of it. Where's the other one gone? Gimme. There we go. Just a graphical glitch. So this is now filling up with the Essentia, and this is now filling up with the Essentia from this Essentia. So I can take these sort of secondary versions which contain 2 or 3 different elements and split them down into their core elements very, very simply to top up these jars in another manner. So this little setup needs to be attached to this as well, really. How I'm going to attach it to that as well, I'm not 100% sure right now, because I've not left myself much space. I could have potentially done it over here and move this over there. So I might have a bit of a change around for that a bit later on. Maybe. But that's certainly useful for getting rid of some of these other elements. So that is the alchemical centrifuge. Right, so next up then, we need to start working on making the infusion altar area and get that set up. The arcane stone blocks was just stone with shards around, making 9. And I need a few bits and pieces, just a little bit of crafting here and there to make all these things that I need to set it all up. So I'll bring you back when I've got everything I need to make it all and set it all up. Alrighty, so defining the area first before I build around it. I'm just literally building up an area that's the right shape and size that I want on the ground, and then I'll think about what flooring and walls and all that kind of extra things as I build it. Because what I found with the Thorncraft so far is that regardless of how I would like to build a structure, cramming all the stuff in is fun, but not necessary. I can build a structure around the Infusion altar in this case. Let's go like that. There we go. Right, so it's all a big grass plains at the minute, a big grassy area, but this dirty stick has come in very handy. Yeah, and I haven't really used a lot of the mana either. Another good thing about working over here for so long and not really using mana is that the mana pool over here, which is just passively generated from up there, is overflowing. It is overflowing already. And it doesn't take a lot to work out that you don't need a huge mana production facility to generate a lot of mana if you're not using mana very often. So I can craft mana up quickly enough that way. When I need it, anyway. But I don't need it right now. So, I've got all of the bits and pieces that I'm supposed to need in here. I think this is everything you need for an altar. Actually, that is everything you need for an altar. To at least get one basically set up. We're going to be setting it up in the middle here. And then figuring out what floor to put underneath it and stuff like that at a later date. But we're going to start off with the pedestal right in the middle. That is the most central part of the altar. And I think I want it at this level. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I want it at this level. I might set it down a block in the future. Depending on how it looks, I'll set it down if I feel like it. Okay, and then we've got arcane stone bricks. Arcane stone bricks are just 4 of these put together like that. Right? Simple enough. We got 4 of those arcane stone bricks, 1 on each corner of it, like so. And then we've got a gap around those areas there. All right, we put 1 of each on these, like here. And then that is the next stage. Then we're supposed to leave an air block here and put this runic matrix on the top. So I'm going to put that there for now, put the runic matrix on the top, which looks awesome, doesn't it, all by itself. But you haven't seen the best of it yet. Or maybe you have, depends. And then that should be all we need to worry about to set up the altar. I'm going to need some other pedestals close by, so I was just thinking of putting them 1 on each side around here. Pedestals are pretty dang cool. You can put items on pedestals, such as, let's put clay on it. There you go. You can put items on the pedestals, and that's what will feed the altar in the future. So I need a few more of those. It needs to be symmetrical in all ways, shape or form, which is why I've measured it out so carefully. And it required a little bit of a tap with a wand to make it transform. So are you ready for this? This is awesome. Look at that. Now, just be impressed for a moment. That is one of the best pieces of graphic I've seen in Minecraft ever. I like it. I was really, really pleased the first time I saw that way back, like probably 1.5 years ago now when they brought this in, but I was really, really impressed by it. That and Ars Magique graphics. This is pretty epic looking graphics. Amazing. But this is the Infusion altar. This basically is going to tell me what I need to craft things on here, and I'll place something on there, and then I'll put some bits and pieces around it and do some infusion crafting. The first of which we already know. The reason we're making all this is to make us a silverwood wand core. So let's go back over here and have another look. Now this should kind of make sense a little bit more. The arcane infusion. Okay, we put the silverwood log on the center, on that pedestal in the matrix, and then all around it we put these different types of shards on pedestals. We provide it with jars that have this element in, this much viz in, around it, and then we click it with a wand and it will start the crafting process. and all sorts of things can go wrong. All sorts of things. You'll be surprised how many different types of things can actually go wrong when we get started on it. But we're not going to use it too often. We're going to use it as often as required for crafting, and we're not going to use it too often. I may make it a little bit more open air in this case. Normally I make them enclosed and keep it all sealed in and try and find ways to automate all the jars so I've got everything I could possibly need around it. But in the case that I'm going to be using it here in a Druid's Tale, I think I just need it so that I can get the Essentia, put the Essentia here, put the items here, and then make one item, then put it all back away again. So I may continue with that and not try and automate this too much overall. Should be okay. There's a few other things that we want to get looked into, but I definitely need to get to this wand, Silverwood wand, so I can put in 100 viz of each type. Then I can go on to get the node in the jar where I can use 70 of each type to capture a node. And then I can do the recharging of the wand and go and collecting more, blah, 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 blah. Have a lot of fun running around exploring a Mistcraft age, stealing all the nodes and bringing them over here. So that is it for now. Thank you very, very much for watching this episode of A Druid's Tale. I will see you in the next episode very, very soon. Don't forget the links in the annotations, bottom right hand corner, the Supporters Club, where you can get all the bonus features and extras from the Nemsun channel. The supporters get little bonuses, lots of little bonuses, and some big bonuses as well, though I'm sure in the future. If you liked this episode, then like it, and go and have a look for some more that you may like as well. Thank you very, very much for watching, and goodbye.